Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is you're turning on this worship service. I want to say welcome to worship today. I'm John Carolus, one of our associate pastors here at Shepherd, and happy Mother's Day. Whether you're a mom or a grandma or an aunt or an important motherly figure in someone's life, happy Mother's Day to you. May God bless you this day and provide in your life the joy and the blessing that you are in the lives of whoever it is you mother, whether it be a child or children or friends of your kids. God uses mothers in extraordinary ways. This week in chapel at the preschool, we were doing a special Mother's Day presentation, and we had all kinds of people in there who were standing in as the mothers to those preschool kids. So I don't mean it as an exclusive comment to sort of restrict this sentiment from going toward any dads out there that step in the gap and fill the gap, providing for their kids in motherly ways. I don't want to outline any babysitters or nannies who help provide for the needs of the kids and the families that they work alongside of and serve alongside of. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. We're going to thank God for the blessing that you are in so many people's lives. We're going to see how God uses mothers as an example by which He communicates the way that we should live as Christians that's different than the rest of the world. Mothers play such an important role in exhibiting the love that God has for His people, and an important role in giving us an example of how we might share that love with the people around us as well. Have you ever felt like taking the easy route? Have you ever just preferred to go with the least intrusive way of existence, the way that maybe provides the most benefit towards you with the least amount of your own effort? I have too. It's something we all work through and deal with. But there's an important lesson for us in today's reading from Acts chapter 20 that we'll spend time on in the message. Basically, God says, don't go for the easy route. If you have been transformed by my love, if you have received this blessing, this gift, this word of grace from me, I want you to go above and beyond. I want you to go the extra mile, not so that you would reap the benefit of your own rewards, but that after providing for your own needs, you might be able to provide for the needs of others and bless others, help those who are weaker, help those who aren't able to provide for themselves. Go the extra mile, maybe not just monetarily, maybe in the time that we spend with people, maybe in the emotional availability we have for others, maybe in the time of prayer we have for others. There are so many ways in which we can exhibit God's love toward others. And we know that God exhibits that same love toward us when we fail to do it. So if you're feeling that weight of kind of always going the easy route, if you know that's something that you struggle with, pray that God would transform your heart, but also know that He forgives you. He's committed to walking with you through life. He is there with you in the low moments. He's there with you in the high moments. God is with you. Let that be our reminder. Let that be our joy as we celebrate Mother's Day today. We remember that God is with us, and He's with us through the people He puts in our lives as well, especially mothers. So if you're a mom out there or you're living as a mom in somebody's life, thank you for what you do. You are so important for the lives that we have in following God, and we want to just celebrate Mother's Day with you and celebrate who you are and what you do. Please join us as we jump into worship this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening.
Let no one caught in sin remain inside the lie of inward shame, but fix our eyes upon the cross and run to Him who showed great love and bled for us. Freely You bled for us. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling over death by death. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. Christ is risen from the dead. We are one with Him again. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. Beneath the weight of all our sin, You bow to none but heaven's will. No scheme of hell, no scoffer's crown, no is risen. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling over death by death. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. Christ is risen from the dead, we are one with him again. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. And oh, death, where is your sting? Oh, hell, where is your victory? Oh, church, come stand in the light. The glory of God has defeated the night. Singing, oh, death, where is your sting? Yes. Oh, hell, where is your victory? Oh, church, come stand in the light. Our God is not dead, he's alive, he's alive. Christ is risen from the dead, we are living death by death. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. Christ is risen from the dead, we are one with him again. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling over death by death. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave. Christ is risen from the dead, we are one with him again. Come awake, come awake, come and rise up from the grave.
Well, we're continuing in our Not Your Ordinary Sunday sermon series in the season after Easter. What does it mean that the most extraordinary of Sundays, Easter Sunday when Jesus rose from the dead, how does that shape, what does it mean for us? How does that shape our weeks, our Sundays, our days moving forward? It has an impact on us that changes who we are. It has an impact on us that changes our outlook on life, that changes our lens of hope, that changes the way that we walk through the world. So today, as we spend some time in the book of Acts, we're going to be focusing on a blessing, a benediction that Paul was giving to the church in Ephesus, but we're also going to be spending some time on this not only being an extraordinary Sunday, as now they are all because of Jesus' resurrection, but it's a special Sunday because of Mother's Day, and we're going to also be looking at how mothers and the different ways in which they are special, the not ordinary, the extraordinary ways in which mothers act and treat us as we're growing up. And maybe for you, it wasn't your biological mother, it was a motherly figure in your life who took care of you, who maybe you still can turn to. I'm sure as we go through life, those people sometimes change and shift depending on where we are and what we're doing and who is in our life and who has moved on or transitioned out of our lives. But we're going to be looking at how those people who are motherly toward us, how that is different than the way other people are. And that brings us around to really the main idea of today. Not Your Ordinary Sunday leads us to believe that there are things that set our worship and our practice and our ways of life apart from the rest of the world. If we think about Not Your Ordinary Sunday, We're also thinking about how mothers, today of all days, Mother's Day, is a day in which those people who treat us that way in life are special in themselves. They're not your ordinary people. In fact, they've got a very extraordinary purpose. So as we spend some time this morning thinking about what that difference is, what sets those people apart, and what sets us apart as Christians, I want you to hear the theme really being difference. There's a difference in the way that mothers act toward their children than they do toward other people. There's a different way that children respond to the voice of their mother as they grow than they do toward the voices of others. There's trust, there's connection, there's meaning there that doesn't exist in other relationships oftentimes. And so also does God, through His prophets, through His apostles, through His church leaders, give us important difference in our understanding of His commands and His instructions in life. What sets us apart as well. So as I said, we're going to be hearing from Acts chapter 20, nearing the end of the book, and Paul is reaching he's reaching the end of one of his missionary journeys. He spent some time growing with the church in Ephesus, and now on his way to Jerusalem, he doesn't have time to stop in the town itself. So he gathers the elders of that church, the leaders, the pastors and the elders, if you will, and he gathers them at this town in which he gives them a parting blessing, a parting prayer, a parting commendation. He talks about some of the history they have with each other. He talks about the ways that he acted when he was with them. He talks about the instructions that he gave them, and then he gives them a few final parting sentences. So I'm going to read to you from Acts chapter 20. We're going to hear how in these verses Paul speaks to the church in Ephesus. We're going to understand what it means for us to carry that through in our lives and the way that it convicts us when we don't live differently, when we don't step out. We're going to see how mothers exhibit this in a special way, how we can emulate, and how we can also model our lives after the people in our lives who exhibit these things toward us so that we can show it to others. Listen in to these verses from Acts 21. And now I entrust you to God and the message of His grace that is able to build you up and give you an inheritance with all those He has set apart for Himself. I have never coveted anyone's silver or gold or fine clothes. You know that these hands of mine have worked to supply my own needs and even the needs of those who are with me. And I have been a constant example of how you can help those in need by working hard. You should remember the words of the Lord Jesus. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Think about those verses. Paul is giving this explanation. So first, a note about that middle verse where he talks about not coveting their silver or gold and working with his own hands. He was trying to exemplify for the church in Ephesus what it means to provide for yourself according to the abilities and skill set that God has given you. He didn't come into that church just expecting them to supply all of his needs. In fact, he tried to model a life that was willing to go the extra mile in provision for himself, that he wouldn't create a burden for somebody else. But he wasn't just doing this because of maybe the financial position of the church in Ephesus. He wasn't doing this just to accommodate some of their lifestyle and needs. He was doing it as a way to teach them the lifestyle that Christians have apart from the rest of the world. What changes in you when you believe in God? I want to talk a little bit about that itself too, because in these verses, Paul is encouraging and commanding this church as they are now parting ways. They won't see him again. He's giving them these commands. He's saying, I'm giving you over. I'm entrusting you to the word of grace that God gives. And this is a word that changes who you are, that has an impact. It guarantees an inheritance for you. What is that inheritance? Of course, we understand it to be salvation, a faith that carries us through this life into the life to come. But what does it mean for this life? What does it mean that we have been made a part of this body of believers that's a global community? Not restricted to a town or a province or a country, but the entire world, all who hear the good news. You are now brought into this community because of the words of God at work in your heart when you trust in them. And then he says, work hard that you might help others. When you work hard that you might help others, you are exhibiting for them not only that you're a generous person, but also that in working hard, you are not simply going to sit back and take the easiest route. Now this is it's got some interesting implications here. I don't know what the situation was like in Ephesus at the time, but I do know that for me and for people in my life and for people I know and people like me, it's a temptation for us to always go for the easiest route through life. I'm always one to find the shortest line at the grocery store to get in line with my cart. I'm always trying to do the math. If I pull up to a restaurant and it has a drive-thru and the line is really long, In-N-Out, really, this is the worst perpetrator, right? In-N-Out has a drive-thru line that snakes all the way through the parking lot, and then it's got a parking lot for the cars, for the people going into the store, and it's always full, and you always are trying to do the math. Is it going to be faster for me to go inside or to go through the drive-thru? That's the question. What's going to be fastest and easiest for me? I think about other things about life, not just shopping experiences or fast food experiences, but I always try and find the easiest way to go through things. If there's an incentive or if there's a gift that could come my way if I participate in a certain activity or sign up for a certain email list, I want to go with whatever's easiest, whatever's going to provide the most benefit to me with the least amount of effort, right? That's just human nature. But it's interesting. If it's human nature, then there must be streaks of brokenness and sin within that human nature. And so Paul is speaking to that part of the human heart in Ephesus. He's saying, don't just go for the easiest way through life. Don't just sit back expecting to receive gifts because you have now been brought into this community of faith. Rather, work hard with your hands that you might serve others. Work hard with your hands that you might provide for your own needs. What is setting the Christians in Ephesus apart from the other people in that city, according to Paul's instruction, is that they go the extra mile, they put in the extra effort in order to provide for themselves and for their families, and that they might provide for the needs of other people. So rather than having a lens of how might someone help me, Paul is coaching them into having this mindset of how can I help somebody else? And then he ends with this quote by Jesus, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And when I hear that line, and when we're talking about this concept of being generous with our effort, with our time, with our skill set, with our money, I always remember that it seems to be the people in my life who exhibit that way of living. It's my mom. It's my grandma. It's my aunts who are mothers in their household. It's the people who it's the moms of my friends. It's the moms who have been introduced to me here at Shepherd or in my internship congregation or my home congregation or while I was at school. Women who are mothers or are motherly toward others, they go out of the way to live differently than the rest of the world. A mom who's feeding her children lunch, and they're all under the age of 5, for example, isn't expecting them to contribute to that effort that, she's not thinking, well, if I make the food and serve it to them, these little toddlers are going to get up and wash the dishes and clean the kitchen for me. Now, that may come into play later in life. That's probably a good discipline, a good chore for the kids to learn, right? But when you're young, when you're unable to do those things, if you're too short to reach the sink, mom's going to just give you food and then clean up after you. And she's going to do that out of the goodness of her heart, out of the love she has for her children. When a child or someone with a mom, maybe not a child anymore, but someone in their adult life is going through a difficult time and they just need to call their mom, mom's going to pick up and give them some good advice. And then she's not going to turn the table and say, okay, now because I've given you some help, I need your help on something else. That's not how it works, right? Now, out of the goodness of her heart, out of the love she has for her children, she's going to give something to them, give them time, give them words of encouragement, give them a listening ear. Moms exhibit this different way of living toward their children and toward their families in such a powerful way. God gives us these examples in life of what He means when He says we should live differently. And all it takes is for us to open our eyes and see them and model our lives after them. Listen to what Paul is saying. He's saying, I'm commending you to the word of grace, the powerful word of God that brings you into a community of faith. In this community, you should live how I lived among you, working hard, not expecting people to provide things for you because that might be the easiest way to go about it, but going the extra mile to provide for your own needs, to work out your own situation, and then on top of that, a result of your hard work will be the opportunity to provide for others. And there's two benefits to providing for others for the other person. On the one hand, they're receiving the benefit of your hard work, right? Maybe you're making bread and you only need 4 loaves for the week and you end up making 6 and you give your neighbor 2 loaves, all of a sudden now they've received bread. How great is that? But if you're also exhibiting the benefit of working hard, and your neighbor is looking at you and they see that you need 4 loaves of bread, but you've baked 6, and that's a result of your hard work and your skills in making bread, they're going to think, oh my gosh, what if I started living that way too? Not only am I going to have what I need, but I might be able to share that extra with others. Now, it might not be material things. It may not be extra bread or extra money. It may be time. If you're efficient with the time that you use, you can spend more of your time helping your neighbor, spending time with those you love, spending time sharing joy with people in your life who you like to talk to, who you enjoy conversation with. See, Paul is explaining that ordinary people are not who Christians are, because when you're a Christian, you have been made extraordinary. You have been given a seal of approval. You have been made a child of God that's set apart from the rest of the world. And when you're set apart, you live differently. What does differently mean? We don't just live like the world is full of strangers and our number one priority is ourselves and we just try to find the easiest way to get to the kind of life that we want. No, Paul says work hard for the benefit of others, not only the benefit that they receive, maybe the fruit of your labor, but also that they would see there's benefit in living that way. If we're all working hard and trying to benefit others, all of a sudden we'll be feeling like we're benefiting from the hard work of the people around us, and they'll be benefiting from the hard work of us. And this Christian community begins to look a lot like what it is when a loving family and a loving mother pours out her heart and her hard work for others. And then as time goes on, the children in that family pour out the same for their mom, and now she is benefiting from the hard work, determination of her kids. How can we, as Christians, who have been impacted and entrusted to this word of grace, like the church in Ephesus, through the words of Paul, impacted by the word of grace, now, given this commendation, to work hard for the benefit of others, that they would see what this kind of lifestyle produces for you, but then also experience the benefit of the outpouring of our generosity in time, in word, in skills, in the material things that we have, in the emotional availability that we might be able to share with them. Now, it's hard though. Sometimes it's hard just to embrace that way of life. Sometimes we're impatient. Sometimes we're lazy. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we just need a day to ourselves. And as we follow along that line of thinking, all of a sudden it makes more sense to us not to live this extraordinary life, not to live this different life, not to live out this love and hard work for others. And we just want to kind of sit back and receive the gifts from other people. And then all of a sudden we wake up and realize, oh my gosh, I have not been living the way God's calling me to live. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get out of this rut that I found myself in? Well, remember, if that's the place where you're at, where you're hearing these exhortations, you're hearing these encouragements, these commands, and you're feeling convicted, it's breaking you down because you're not living that way, know this: God is asking us to live the life that He exhibited through His Son Jesus, and He continues to exhibit through the work of His Spirit, that He ultimately primarily laid out for us in the creation of the world. The love that He is asking and requiring of us is the love that He shows toward you and me. In our hard days, in our days where we're not feeling like following along with the different calling in life, God exhibits His patient and transformative love to us. And as we begin to live differently, as we begin to receive that different love from God, and we begin to recognize who is pouring into us in life, and we begin to emulate and follow after those examples in our lives, and we begin to pour out our love toward others, we can't help but be not your ordinary people. We can't help but be different from the world. We can't help but be extraordinary. So on this Mother's Day, first of all, wish whoever in your life stands in as the mother. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's an aunt, maybe it's your grandma, maybe it's just a trusted friend in your life. Wish them a happy Mother's Day. Give them a grateful, appreciative word. Give thanks to God for them. And then seek to see how you might embrace that same different way of living toward the people in your life.
People come together, strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children of every nation, your kingdom come. So let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Oh, oh, oh. Jesus, our salvation, our redemption is in His blood. So Jesus, light of heaven. Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where your help comes from. We sing, oh, 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 yeah. So swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All your creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Oh, let's sing that again. Well, swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Oh, one more time, swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Oh, Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come.
If we were to sum up the message in one word, I think it would be generosity. I know we didn't spend a lot of time in the idea of generosity as far as how to be generous and what generosity looks like, but if the different life of Christians is one that lives for the other based on the efforts of the hard work we put in on our own time and based on our own efforts, generosity is the way that that is communicated to other people. So as we take some time for prayer today, I also just want to put before you the opportunity to express some generosity toward Shepherd. If this is your church home, if this is something that you enjoy spending time in community with us, even if it's just watching one video a week with us, we want to say we love having you here with us. We love worshiping alongside you and facilitating that kind of opportunity for you. If it's on your heart to support our ministry in a financial way, you can do so at the link provided on screen. You can mail a check into our church office. If you're ever in Scottsdale or you're coming by one of our campuses, drop a blessing, a gift into the offering plate. And we just want to say that it's through those gifts that we're able to continue walking with you through life in these unconventional means. As the pandemic seems to be getting into a later phase, although I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I mean, our digital communications director, Matt McLean, is unable to be in the studio today due to COVID. Thankfully, it's not serious and he's continuing to recover. But as we continue to sort of phase out of more restricted lifestyle, we continue to walk with you in this digital effort because we know that things happen in life where you're not able to make it to church, or you're connected to a church that's across the country or a few states away from you. We want to continue being that place for you here at Shepherd. So if you're considering giving, or if you've already committed to giving, we want to say thank you, and we want to praise God and thank God for the way in which He's using you and your hard work and your efforts to facilitate the gospel being presented through our work into the lives of many. Thank you, and let's take some time for prayer today. As you go about the week ahead, I pray that God would bless you and keep you. I pray that He would be with you, that He would smile upon you, that He would be kind to you and give you His blessing, that He would cover you with His peace. Because in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, we believe in a God who is with us always, who orchestrated our life, who knit us together in our mother's womb, who sacrificed His own life for us, who set aside His own divine deity to walk on this earth, knowing that it would result in His own killing, and yet through His death we have been covered by His blood, forgiven, transformed. And in that resurrection we know we can trust in His promise that our lives are not a one-way story, but we have an eternal relationship with God to enjoy that begins as soon as the Spirit works faith in our hearts. We know that the Spirit is continuing to be at work with us in life. So may God strengthen your faith. May you look to the mothers in your life, and if you are a mother, may you continue in that important and blessing of a walk. May you exhibit that love that God shows toward us, toward people around you. Have a great week. Have a happy Mother's Day. And remember, on this not ordinary Sunday, you are not an ordinary person, but you have been someone who is transformed by God according to His great blessings. And therefore, as you live out your life working hard according to the gifts, the faculties, the skill set that you have, you might bless others and exemplify for them the joy that comes with this transformed life.
Oh, shame is a prison as cruel as a grave. Shame is a robber, and he's come to take my name. Love is my redeemer, lifting me up from the ground. Love is the power where my freedom song is found. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, I'm gonna rise up out of the ground. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Oh, battle, a war between death and life. And there on that tree, the Lamb of God was crucified. And it went on down to hell. He took back every key. Oh, he rose up as a lion. Now he's setting all the captives free. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Oh, there ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, I'm gonna rise up out of the ground. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my